Hi folks, I'm Craig Taylor, and as always a huge thanks for joining me here on my YouTube channel, the Bushcraft Padawan, and thanks for joining me in this week's Thursday's Thought. Now there's something I have to say, but please don't judge me. I hate coffee. Now I realise that actually puts me at odds with most people, it seems, in the bushcraft community who seem to worship the god of coffee. And that just ain't me. Let me explain why. Back in the early 90s, I was in my late teens and I was on a night navigation exercise in Germany. It was cold and it was wet. I got to one of the checkpoints. The guy that was manning the checkpoint, who was actually the regimental sergeant major, wound the window down, said, "Well done, wall bars, you've met your checkpoint, here's your next good reference. Do you want a brew? Do you want a hot brew?" And I said, "Yes, please." Passed me out a big mugful out of his flask, a hot brew. I started drinking it and realised at that point it was coffee. I had never drank coffee in my life until that point. I'd never drank it, my parents never drank it, so I was never subjected to it, if you like, or exposed to it. It was bloody awful, I'll tell you now, it was awful. If etiquette hadn't overcome me, I'd have spat it all out and asked him what on earth he was drinking such a gopping concoction for. But you don't do that to the RSM when you're a young soldier in a regiment. So I very politely drank it. I'm still balking at the thought of it now, and I went on my way. And from that day to this, a drop of coffee has never passed my mouth. When I'm at home, my preferred tipple of hot drink is a cup of tea, usually a Yorkshire tea, or if I'm feeling somewhat sophisticated at the time, I may even have one of those posh fruit teas, but never a coffee. However, when I'm out bushcrafting, my favourite hot drink tipple is a hot chocolate. I don't think you can go far wrong with a hot chocolate. I think I got hooked on it, quite coincidentally, when I was in the army, and they used to be issued in the 24-hour ration packs. From that day to this, it's always been my preferred outdoor tipple. I think it's quick to make, you can't really go wrong, there's no brewing period, there's no stewing period, you don't necessarily need to add any milk to it. Powder into hot water, good mix, and off you go. Nice and simple, nice and quick. But what about you? What's your preferred hot drink tipple when you're outdoors? Is it the ubiquitous coffee? Is it a tea? Is it a hot chocolate? Is it something else? I'm particularly keen to hear if anybody boils the water up but then actually takes local materials, any roots, any bark, any flowers, petals, any leaves, and actually stew those to make a tea. It's something I've experimented with in the past, but isn't something that is my go-to thing to do, if you like, probably because of the lack of reliability of always knowing if you're going to be able to source the right foraged materials to make that hot drink. I guess that's why I default back to hot chocolate. But I'm keen to hear from you. Is your hot tipple a hot chocolate? Is it a tea? Is it a coffee? Is it something else? Do you source something and use some locally foraged materials to make your hot drinks? Do please let me know in the comments below. It'd be quite interesting to hear. I'd also be quite interested if anybody wants to try and convince me to try a coffee. What should I be trying? What's a good mixture, or what's a good brand, or I don't even know what coffee makers or coffee connoisseurs call it. What's a good brand? What's a good mixture to make? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you as always for watching, really appreciate it, and I'll see you very shortly in my next video. Cheers.